about that, we need to work out what is emotional intelligence and why bother, what's the point in being emotionally intelligent anyway? Well, let's start with the why. Why should we be emotionally intelligent in any organisation? There is a lot of research and evidence that shows that being emotionally intelligent impacts on success directly. Research also tells us that emotional intelligence, or EQ, plays a more significant role in being successful than IQ does. So being more emotionally intelligent is more important than being academically intelligent. And put simply, emotional intelligence is key to maximising on productivity and effectiveness for all people in a school community or any organisation. So it's pretty powerful stuff. So you'd want to be emotionally intelligent just for those reasons. But it's also quite nice being emotionally intelligent. So to start off, we need to think about what it means, the phrase. You've probably got an idea yourself about what emotional intelligence means, what it means to you. What we'd like you just to talk to someone near you about, so they've all very comfortably sat, beautifully spaced, so it's going to be a bit more challenging. But what we'd like you to still do and lean a bit further is to talk to somebody near you about what do you think emotional intelligence means and how might you define it. So we're going to give you a couple of moments for talking now. See if you can begin to build a definition for yourself. You do have to talk to one another. You have your definition, and we're going to show you a clip now and see if your definition of emotional intelligence can be seen in this short video.
Right, that is it. Slow down, you move too fast. Silence here. All part of the job. What's going on?
Put my stapler inside the jelly again. That's the third time he's done it. It wasn't even funny the first time.
Why has he done that?
Told him once that I don't like jelly. Trust the way it moves.
Yeah, you showed your weakness. You pounds, you should know about that. What is it then?
It's my stapler.
Well, don't do that. Well, eat it out. There's people starving in the world, which I hate. So, it's a waste. So, how do you know it's yours?
Because it's got my name on it in Jepex.
Yeah, don't eat it now. Chemicals.
Right, you can be my witness. Give him an official warning.
How do you know it was me?
It's always you. Can't you discipline him?
Oh, kinky! The thing about factory jokes is I know when to stop as well as start, and now's the time to stop putting Gary's explosive touches in jelly. Alright?
Gareth, it's only a dry-play matter.
Here we go. Rules like this.
Oh, I've got a bit of custard.
He's going to fit in it. I've got a big good bowl, haven't we? And one extra one. Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm more worried really about damage to company property, that's all.
I'm just trying to think of other desserts.
It's all right here, but people do sometimes take advantage because it's so relaxed. You know, I like to have a laugh just as much as the next man, but this is a place of work. You know, I was in the Territorial Army for 3 years, and you can't go out there. That's sort of one of the rules.
They do. Get it back. I'm just using it for a second.
It's got my name on it, Gareth.
That says Gareth, actually. But
Ask if you want to borrow it.
you always say no, mate.
Perhaps that's why you should ask.
Gareth, it's just there, okay?
Yeah? That's its home. Leave it there.
Okay.
Get off! Get off!
Okay, I'm going to let this go, right? Let's just go back to the pool.
Well, you won't, so...
Well, I have, so...
What if that kills someone?
Oh, kills, well, they'll think of the murder. It's got your name on it.
Why would a murderer put his name on a murder weapon?
To stop people borrowing.
David?
I hate the fact you bring me down to it. I really do. I was
No way
into
you'll
it.
laugh.
Well, leave her out. You carry on. Listen, you bring me down to this.
So hopefully your definition didn't match anything you just saw there. That's just sometimes it's quite a bit easier to define something by saying what it isn't, and that absolutely isn't emotional intelligence. But what is? Any theory you read on it talks about these quadrants. These quadrants help to identify behaviours that capture what emotional intelligence is. And they do have a slight progression, the basics being the top left corner and the more complex being the bottom right. You start off with needing to be able to recognise your own emotional state, so self-recognition. You need to know that you're feeling angry, or you're feeling defensive, or you're feeling upset, And then the next bit is your self-regulation. I'm feeling angry, but I'm in a workplace, so it's not appropriate to shout at somebody. So those are the first things. And we see where children don't have that self-regulation quite often, particularly toddlers. They know that they're angry and they're just going to fling themselves on the floor and let everybody else know about it. They don't have that skill of self-regulation. It is a skill. Once we've kind of mastered those skills, we look at the recognition of other people's emotional states. That's being able to read behaviours and read, I was talking to this lady down here, reading what's in people's eyes, what's their body language telling you. You need to be able to do that. And from that, then, be able to regulate others and regulate a social situation. For want of a better word, you become able to manipulate a situation, but that has negative connotations. What we mean when you're emotionally intelligent is that you're manipulating social situations that get the best outcome for everybody because you've done it in a way that meets people's needs. To unpick those behaviours a little bit more, there's just a few more descriptive sections there. And if you just think back for a moment to the video that we just showed, you can start to think, well, I can now articulate why that wasn't emotional intelligence because I can tell you what I didn't see based on that quadrant. So just have a moment to read that there. Okay, then we're going to show you a video just now of a man called Daniel Goleman, who was one of the first people to articulate emotional intelligence and write it down and publish it. And he just gives you another definition to help capture what we've just covered so far. So this is Daniel Goleman.
Emotional intelligence refers to how well we handle ourselves and our relationships. There are 4 domains. Self-awareness, knowing what we're feeling, why we're feeling it, which is the basis of, for example, good intuition, good decision making. Also, it's a moral compass. The second part is self-management, which means handling your distressing emotions in an effective way so that they don't cripple you, they don't get in the way of what you're doing, and yet attuning them to them when you need to so that you learn what you must. Every emotion has a function. Also, marshaling positive emotions, getting ourselves involved, enthused about what we're doing, aligning our actions with our passions. The third is empathy, knowing what someone else is feeling. And the fourth is putting that all together in skilled relationship. So that's what I mean by emotional intelligence. There are many definitions out there. Look.
Okay, so leading on from that, at the moment we're going to be asking you to be thinking of a situation that you found emotionally challenging. But before we do, we're going to be sharing another clip, and this helps to break down some of the strategies and skills that you could be using when you approach such a situation.
Almost every business decision we make on a daily basis is based on emotions. We feel choice A is better than choice B. Therefore, many times we make our choices based on what our emotions or our gut feelings are telling us. People need to have the self-awareness of their own emotions and the origins to understand themselves better, their motivations, fears, limitations, and strengths. It's also extremely important for people to be in touch with their emotions when working in teams. But just as important is their ability to work with empathy, to imagine a problem or situation from another perspective, to stand in somebody else's shoes. Being attuned to other people's emotions and concerns is even more significant today when teams are cross-cultural and businesses are global, thus increasing the complexity of interactions and how emotions are expressed. Emotional intelligence is quite simply the ability to understand, express, and manage your own emotions, develop and maintain good social relationships, and think clearly and solve problems under pressure. Try this simple exercise. Recall a recent incident you would describe as stressful. Visualize yourself as an observer, not a participant, almost like you're looking down on the situation from above. As you shift from the role of the participant to the observer, notice the corresponding shift in your emotional state. This self-awareness, now freed of its emotional charge, will help you clearly see how you are impacted by the situation and how you are impacting others. all too often, there's very little emphasis placed on building soft skills or emotional intelligence in schools or workplaces. So where does one learn how to hone these soft skills?
Okay, so from there, we've looked at how to self-regulate your own emotions, and in doing so, you can then move forward to help towards the skill of regulation of others. Now, as I've just mentioned before, if you like to be working with a partner, I'd like you to think of a situation where you found it's been emotionally challenging, but I want you to be approaching it from the aspect of an observer. Can you articulate the emotions that you have been dealt with or that you're dealing with at that moment in time? And can you articulate that referring back to the 4 quadrants that Sarah's just gone through? Talk to each other for this one. Yeah. from that, at King's, we approach being emotionally intelligent at our school through 3 focus areas. For example, we break it down into children, parents and staff. So with children, we have a culture of no shouting. By shouting at a child, it doesn't solve it. There is no resolution. It is more an adult letting off steam and reacting to a situation and not really showing any empathy as to the reasons behind it. A child will not understand that you're shouting. They will not learn anything from it. And by shouting, you're then losing your self-control and actually control of that situation. It is much more advantageous to be talking through a scenario with a child so that you can help identify the correct pathways to choose. With our parents, again, parents will come to you during the course of the academic year and they'll want to share something that they feel is particularly strong and pertinent within their lives because it's something that's relating to their child, who they value and cherish beyond anything else. It's not a time for a teacher to be having a go at a member of staff, and for that member of staff who's having that meeting with the parents to be able to understand the reasoning behind it, to understand that parents are wanting to find a resolution, and it's the teacher who needs to facilitate that by articulating the reasons why an incident might have happened, and again to find a resolution, the way forward. With staff, there are times, again, within our school year, perhaps outside of that even, when we need to deliver some hardcore messages that we find challenging. Being EI is not about being soft and cuddly and thinking, I'll just forget about that and it will sort of work itself out. We need to have those challenging conversations at times, but it's about knowing the right time. You've got a member of staff who's particularly upset, that is not going to be the right time. They're not going to be in your line of thinking, they're not going to be focused on what you're wanting to introduce or to say, and they will not be wanting to take that on board and to help support you. So it's important to think about your timing so that you get maximum buy-in by everybody who's surrounding you. And as such, the growth of the school develops and also individual people develop as a whole as well. So, being EI at King's, we firmly believe in getting the results the right way. We don't just talk the talk, we want to see it physically in action. And one of the items that we have amongst the entire school community is something that we call essential agreements. It's when teams of people get together, whether that be the class links, teachers, learning assistants, senior management team, at all different strands, we have the essential agreements, and that is when a group of people come together and they help to identify what makes them a team, what are they prepared to ensure so that the smooth running of the year is reflected in. It might be that you're going to be respectful of each other, it might be that you're always going to be active listeners, so that again you get that buy-in, because you need that if you're going to be introducing new philosophies or innovative education. So if we have a little look at that, this is a good quote from Peter Stark. Emotional intelligence is when you finally realise it's not all about you. It's about having that awareness of what you are like as a self, but also the emotional intelligence of those people around about you. And through that, we're then consolidating all of those skills within those 4 quadrants. We're thinking about developing and influencing others. We're effectively managing our conflict and building trust and collaboration so that we achieve really good, outstanding results.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions?
That wraps up our presentation for you. Just a quick fire emotional intelligence. Yeah.
So you said you've got the essential agreement.
Yes.
How can you give an example of what you
have them in like a school charter, like a class charter, but also, for example, in our leadership team meetings, we will remember to, we sum it up more vaguely, but we'll unpick it as we create them. But things like, we won't have our mobile phones on the table. We won't respond to emails while we're supposed to be in a meeting. We respect, one of them is, the first one I think is we respect the meeting time. So that's, and then when we unpick that as a team, it means we'll turn up on time. We won't arrange other things in the middle of that meeting. We won't have our phones on. We won't have our emails up in front of us. You unpick it as a team. So our leadership team agreements are like that. And what's really helpful is when you get the hang of it, you quite often refer back to them. So in our most recent meeting, we started by saying, we said last week we'd do this, and already we've started late in the meeting, so we're not actually meeting one of our essential agreements. And actually we had a far more effective meeting as a result of it, because they were then fresh in our head again. When we do them with children in a class, it might be, we will remember to listen to one another. We'll, depending on the age, we'll remember to keep our hands to ourselves, or we'll remember to have kind hands, or you can make it age appropriate. Yeah.
Have you tried any essential agreements with parents?
Yes.
Could you describe that?
In fact, we're just starting that process. We do it annually, but we're just starting the process tomorrow morning. We have people called class links who are a representative, a parent representative for each class. What we'll do is, we're a 40 class strong school, so we'll have them, we're going to get them sitting in year groups and generate their own essential agreements in year groups. Then the leadership team will be working in that room as well and pull out the main strands, and then as a 40 strong team, we'll establish the ones that we think the parents should have, and then, well, they'll have the main input, and then we'll publish that to the class links, we'll type that up for them, then they cascade it. But that, it's kind of like a code of conduct, it's not, it's more about the soft skills, whereas the new parent contract that's come out is a bit more specific about you will do this, you won't do that. It's not a parent contract, it's, the feeling needs to be that it's been generated from a democratic approach. So
Could you give me a few examples of what you would come up with? How
with
they
parents?
Yeah.
I think one of the things might be we will act as role models for our class links. We will act as role models for other parents in terms of how we interact with staff and how we move our children through the school. We will act as role models, or we will communicate clearly with teachers and other parents. Those sorts of things is behaviours that we want to see, and that we can quickly go, hold on, we said we'd do this, and we're not doing it. So those sorts of, it tends to come out of the niggles from the year before. So you can go, oh, everyone had their laptops on in our meeting last year, we need to make sure that's there. So it's
The class representative.
yeah, that's how we're doing it this year, because we've got 600 families in our schools. So to try and get everyone around a table is a bit challenging. So we'll get the class links to be the voice of their class, and then they will run. The idea is you start it, you do a draft, you go away and kind of let it sink in, and then you come back. And so we'll issue it from what the class leaders would like it to say. We'll send it out to parents and take feedback, and then do it, and just sort of go through that process until it sits well with everyone.
It's a good springboard for getting ideas, and also to help cultivate that ethos of the school community.
Yeah.
Because then you've got buy-in from all different departments, and each of the essential agreements will be reflective of what that particular focus group is feeling is important to them, but it still builds into the bigger picture of King's education and our school.
And the more you refer to them, the more successful they are. So if you just do them once at the beginning of the year and put them in a folder, it's just a piece of paper. But if you keep reminding yourselves, even when it's going well, you know, it's praising for the good things, it's catching people doing it right. So it's a very useful tool. You can't just do it and say it's done and then wonder why things go wrong. You have to keep using it and keep it live.
Well, we've had great success. We had a lot of WhatsApp groups last year formed by the parent reps, and
That's
it
going to
really
be part of
sets
our
that.
essential agreements.
Yeah. So we did a code of conduct last week for the reps, and
Yeah.
it's working. And we've already been able to refer. Well, actually, we agreed we wouldn't have a WhatsApp with anything negative. You know?
Yeah.
So it's worked really well so far.
Yeah, we incidentally with WhatsApp have a similar issue. It's just too immediate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you have any programs for measuring the emotional IQ of the students?
No, we don't have a way of measuring emotional IQ to my knowledge. I mean, you can sort of analyse the children's behaviour from those 4 quadrants, but to quantify it would be quite difficult. There must be ways of doing it, because they can put quantifiable figures on IQ versus EQ, but we don't have that tool. also through learning to learn skills as well, so collaboration and perseverance would set children up to be resilient. And further up the school we have the competencies programme from the Royal Society of Arts, which runs from year 5 to year 8, which are essentially learning to learn skills, and that they build character in a pupil, and part of that is about interdependence as well as independence, reading and responding to emotional situations, but most throughout the SHE curriculum. In a primary level that would be more appropriate.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask how much of time do you devote to BSHE, and how do you go about it?
We've just put a new spotlight up on it, so it will be a regular in, depends where you are in the school, but half an hour a week at least per class, yeah.
Then you also get your assemblies as
Right,
well, and
yes.
that is a good tool for having a wider audience and passion for sharing experiences.
I can imagine in a high school it's much more challenging because the child has a lot more going on. Yeah. To be honest, I would need to work for a long time in the secondary school to understand the challenges fully and therefore have to implement them. But I would reach out to our secondary colleagues in this room to see how people manage those challenges amongst the secondary people. Yeah. What do you do in your school to support emotional children in your school? Any secondary colleagues who can discuss?
We have a school counseling program, and so we have counselors that are specifically available during the day for kids to talk to. For example, I'm a middle school counselor, so the students can come to my office during lunch or break time if they just have something they want to talk about. They can send me emails or leave me notes, and then we also do an advisory program, which is similar to the
PSHE, yeah, it's got lots of letters.
Yeah. So it's lessons that are taught during the schools during our class cycle that help to teach character qualities and emotional intelligence, digital citizenship, and all of that. So we have a program.
We actually have a regular class at BSHE right up to year 9.
Yeah.
And we have counselors actually delivering the lesson, and they take feedback from the teacher, class teachers, and with the teachers to find out the dynamics of a particular class and to decide what topic to deal with.
Yeah. I think that there's a balance between, we're very fortunate in our context as a school is that we don't tend to see behavioural challenges very often. So for us, it's not so much giving children strategies to do better, it's about role modelling emotional intelligence. So it's not so much the what we do, it's how we operate. So this is just a kind of insight into an ethos of a school. We pride ourselves on operating in an emotionally intelligent way, but we don't go down the route of trying to quantify or trying to deliver an emotional intelligence programme. It's more about our ethos and our behaviours and trying to understand why we do what we do. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.